So, hello everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. Now, I know some of you have attended our previous Lunch and Learns, but for those who are new to this, we have started this in January, and we want to spend 45 minutes every month to focus on hot and emerging topic. Now, unlike some of the other events that we host that requires months of preparation, the idea is that we can be quite agile in choosing what to focus on. So if you have any area or topic you want to hear more about, please feel free to drop me an email or send me a mixed message on LinkedIn and we can try to accommodate them. My name is Deborah Lee and I'm Principal Consultant here at VMA Group. We're a comms and marketing recruitment specialist and we celebrate our 46th birthday this year. Personally, I've been here for almost 8 years and it's been fascinating to see how the market has changed in this time. And one of the things that have really developed and demanded our attention is GenAI. Whether this is something that you are excited or nervous about, or a little bit of both, it is something that comms professionals will no doubt have to embrace. So I'm really pleased to be joined by Dana Poole today, who will share her personal journey and give 3 practical to-dos to set you on your own path of learning and upskilling. So you'll be ready for the impact of AI and the automation to the job market. Dana and I have worked together for years, and she is brilliant change and digital comm specialist who's practical, original thinker and highly results-driven professional. And she'll spend the next 25 minutes or so talking through her experience, and we'll have Q&A at the very end. So if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, just pop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen alongside your name, and I'll do my best to go through them. So over to you, Dana.
Okay, and I hope you don't mind, guys. We've had a bit of network issues, so I'm gonna switch off my video, but I will turn it back on for the Q&A session. So that is okay. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. If you know me, then you know that I like to keep things practical. So I will share a lot of examples you can learn from. And I will also post the presentation on LinkedIn, and I believe you're also going to get an email with the video and a link to the presentation. I have added some links to articles and courses that you might want to explore after today. Sorry, I'm trying to, okay. So I will cover these 3 topics, but my goal really is for you to walk away feeling confident and positive about the future, and to take one action. If I can, encourage you to take one action today to set you on your journey to embrace automation, then, I'm really, really happy. So for today, I reflected a bit that as communication and change professionals, we are so much more than our job title. We are the connectors in the organization, the change agents. We drive things. We are storytellers. We translate complex concepts into simple language. And as trusted advisors to leaders and coaches to our teams, we have a lot of influence and achieve great impact. So I can't think of anyone else better placed in an organization to work alongside automations, to increase adoption, make them more human, train them to have value-adding conversations, deliver a good user experience, maybe even teach them ethics. What other function could do this? Maybe HR. I don't know if you've heard, but in Microsoft, HR was called on to deliver their GenAI model, which is Copilot. But I do believe that organizations, comms and change for sure. Before I get now, some years back, I was working and I was made redundant. And first reaction was anger. Why me? I was a high performer. I was loyal to the company. My whole life abroad. And that these things are not personal. There are often valid reasons they happen. So I stopped feeling sorry for myself and I got into action. I researched, I'm a pretty good networker, so I reached out to all my contacts. I attended events. And finally, I figured out I wanted to set up my own company. And I looked at the positive. I was back in the UK, I had a bit of money, so I could be selective and contract. And not long after I did. Actually, Unilever, where I met probably some of the lovely people on this call. Well, I and many others, we find ourselves in a similar situation today. Only this time the competition is fierce. So right now, I am taking the same steps. I've learned to plan for setbacks. I saved a bit of money, tightened my belt. This gives me space and time to figure it out. Why are so many companies laying off people? What is the impact of Gen AI on our industry? What does it mean that business leaders and teams have AI assistants that can write, create videos, take meeting minutes, create PowerPoints, coach and advise them? So again, I am researching, networking, taking courses, going to events, speaking to automation experts, thinking about it, and this is my journey in a weekly newsletter and some other LinkedIn articles. And this is my newsletter. If you wanted to subscribe, you can. The reason I'm doing it is because I'm hoping that my journey may help others and also teach me about my future destination. Now, I've spent the last 3 years working with Automation Center of Excellence and operation teams, and I am as excited about Gen AI as everyone else. But I am no longer naive. Gen AI is here, and it's created a content explosion. It's fun to test and play with, but most organizations who are not in the business of content creation, they haven't yet worked out how to get value from it and embed it in their business processes because it's costly, it's still immature, and they are playing catch up with a technology that is moving very fast. I believe there are huge opportunities ahead, and especially for non-IT people like us. So let's take a look at why am I saying we shouldn't fear that AI will replace us tomorrow. Now, you might have seen posts like this one, right? Every day on LinkedIn, 50 more AI tools, 20 more remote job sites. Well, many people like and share posts like this because it sounds cool, and maybe by sharing it, people thinks it makes them look cool. But I spent the time to really understand it. And when you dig deeper, the shine somehow wears off, and you find out that the claim doesn't stack up to scrutiny. So I actually went through every single one of these websites and I looked for communication roles. I found 3, and at the time of the post, all 3 were no longer available. And I commented on this lady's post and I actually wrote about it. Let's have a look at another example. This gentleman was talking about, oh, there's no need to hire a photographer again. Well, actually, when I looked into it, first of all, it's not free. You have to pay a subscription. The images that you upload are no longer yours, so you lose the copyright. So if you upload, I don't know, 5 selfies for AI to generate your image, you lose them. They have access rights to them. And also imagine the implications for governments or DVLA in having AI generated ID photos for our passports or driving licenses. Just because something is out there and everybody's talking about it, it doesn't mean that we need to jump in. We really need to think about, why would we want something like this? Another example, it's about creating images and is using which Microsoft Copilot. Now at Shell, we all had Copilot. You can do this, it takes seconds. It was fun to try, but I can't think of one presentation that I worked on at Shell that I could use an image created by AI, other than the front slide, maybe to make it really pretty and engaging. What I did find is that it got confused. It could not handle text, let alone diagrams. So all I wanted was to create a bit of an org chart or a hierarchy. It could not handle like general typos. So again, nice maybe lists to create pictures, but not for the now, right? If only we could use ChatGPT and Claude to build us a PowerPoint and save time. Well, I did try it. And the code generated had mistakes. It took 3 or 4 goes to fix the code. Every time I asked it to fix the code, it would only fix that bit of code. So then I had to ask, can you resend me the whole code with the correction included? Then I had to put it in PowerPoint. Again, in the end, I just gave up and wrote it myself. Now, prompt engineering will be a skill. And I noticed that while it generates content in seconds, it takes to 40 minutes to refine the results until you are satisfied with them. Basically, it needs time to learn. And so do we. Because when you talk to AI, you need to talk to it in a certain way, which is what prompt engineering is about. It's not the same as talking to a human. And this AI was the first tool that I actually tried. I asked it to generate a PowerPoint called Captivating Your Audience with Storytelling, and then to create the codes, and then I put it into PowerPoint. Honestly, the quality was so poor. It was so generic. There was no depth or substance to it. It was just something like you would just literally Google and then copy and paste into a PowerPoint. No way I would have been proud to present this to a senior leader. And it may be that my prompt engineering needs to get better. I don't know because I'm still learning. But again, it wasn't free. And even with the discount code, I think you just have to think about, the value that these AI tools that everybody's talking about actually generate. But okay, I am an automation advocate, so then how do I use it? Well, it's not all bad. Some of it is actually great. I think AI and innovation adds value is as a brainstorming partner, a research and productivity assistant. What I love about it is it doesn't get tired or bored with questions. It kind of follows your instructions, even apologizes when it can't deliver or makes mistakes. And what I find is that it sparks my creativity. And even when it gives me the answer, a wrong answer, it makes me think. So I asked ChatGPT, for example, to plan a day in London. I told him I wanted to have Vietnamese for lunch. I wanted to walk everywhere. I wanted to go to John Lewis on Oxford Street. My train gets in at 10 a.m. in Waterloo. Um, Honestly, he gave me a plan. It was just remarkable. It gave me a step-by-step plan with links to Google Maps, restaurant suggestions. He allocated time for each activity. He allowed 1 hour for lunch. It was pretty impressive. The second way I use it is if I want to write something, I enter a prompt and I see what it generates. And if it's rubbish, I drop it. But if it's okay-ish, I kind of build on it until I'm satisfied with the quality. And the third way I use automation is I am learning Power Automate Desktop from Microsoft. It's a tool that allows you to create workflows without knowing how to code. So for example, I set up a little workflow and any email that comes into my inbox that has an attachment, it automatically saves that attachment. And that's a nice time saving for me. I don't have to right click and save my attachments. It does that automatically. And if you read this article, this is an article that I interviewed a colleague from Shell, and he talks about how he's using, he also runs about how he's using information. So it might be useful for you. So I do feel overwhelmed sometimes. There's just so much stuff out there. Literally everyone and anyone is talking about AI. Every day there's another post on LinkedIn with 20 more AI tools and 50 more AI, prompt stuff. But I like to take my time and test what they say. And what I found is that it actually boosts my confidence because I can see it's not quite as being described. So don't let it scare you, please. Please don't let it scare you. Because honestly, I am not afraid of being replaced by automation anytime soon. And I don't think any of you should be afraid of that. But I do think that all of us need to get to grips with how to leverage it to be more productive, to use the extra time to be more strategic. And by that, I mean to really think, how can I best add value to my team and say no more to stuff that does not alleviate pain? So I just finished this course on AI for Everyone by Andrew Ng. He transformed Google into an AI company, and he teaches at Stanford. He's a very, very clever guy. And he talks about 5 steps for any company to transition to becoming an AI company. And as you can see, number 5 is communications. And I really believe that, and not just me, but clever people like Andrew, believe that we have an important role to play in transformation, in technology adoptions, but we do need to upskill our tech acumen, and we need to gain a better understanding of what AI, what automation is, and more importantly, what it can do and what it cannot do. Now, I know, knowing what I know about the shortcomings of today's AI and the skill set we bring to the table, this gives me confidence for the future. But what I am doing is what is in my control, right? I'm learning, I'm preparing, I'm reflecting, I'm connecting with automation experts, I'm trying to figure things out. And I think that's what you can do. Be confident, but prepare. And if you don't have time to test everything, you can follow me, you can follow other people, you can learn from my mistakes and maybe our successes. But I think it is important to prepare. And how do you prepare? Well, I've just got some, just three things you can do from tomorrow to embrace AI and automation. Number 1 is be open-minded. And perhaps this time in Comms and Change, we rethink a bit the value add that we bring to the organization. Now, I think of value delivered in these terms. Value is pain alleviated. Is the newsletter I sent out alleviating any pain? It might make people aware, it might make them more knowledgeable, but does it alleviate business pain for leaders or for my colleagues? And the answer is probably not. So let's do more thinking about how can we best add value. And I'll give you one example. In my automation support team, a lot of time was spent on dealing with customer queries. People had to work late and work-life balance wasn't that good. I did 4 things. I set up a training session on customer centricity to explain to them what it actually means when we say we need to be customer centric. I helped them set up an online form for people to raise feedback instead of kind of toing and froing from emails and Teams chats, which was really inefficient. I simplified the service model and I communicated as simply to our customers. And I also set up auto replies to emails with information to help them see our process, our internal process for dealing with queries. So people knew exactly how long they had to wait after raising a ticket and what the steps were. Well, soon after, my colleagues started to ping me on Teams, with happy faces and smileys to share positive feedback they were receiving from customers. And their managers started to reward them. And they were smiling a bit more. And, they had a bit more room for kind of more productive activities because they didn't have to answer the same question again and again and again. So, we need to listen closer, I think, to business challenges and priorities and contribute in a way that solves problems. So, my suggestion is don't be tied to your job description. My job description when I joined Shell 6 years ago is so different than the job I did when I left. In fact, I shaped my job because I needed to figure out how can I help my leaders accomplish their business goals. And that meant very different things. I started to coach them. I started to be their thinking partner, to build their soft skills. to listen and adapt to constraints like, oh, I don't have budget or my resources are being cut. We need to figure out how our skill set helps them solve problems, save money, do more with less, make faster decisions. And if we can do that and also leverage automation, well, I think our future is very, very bright. So I also think that new job titles will emerge in the market because of AI. Chief AI officer is one of them, and everybody's talking about it. But I think there will be many, many more. And I don't know about you, but I honestly don't care about my job title. I care about putting my skills to good use. Job title, how many of your skills match, and then work out the gaps through courses and reading materials. This is what I do. I am not tied to getting a comms and change role in my next contract. But I do want to be involved with AI and automation, and I do want to, put my skills to good use. And this might turn out to be an opportunity for you too. Now, yeah, I always, and if some of them are on the call, they know, I always coach my tech colleagues to improve their soft skills. And basically, I try to put myself out of job. And today, my software engineering colleagues, they send newsletters, they write Viva Engage posts, they craft business cases, they gain buy-in, they look at value realization differently. I'm so very proud of them. But one day, a senior software engineer said to me, Dana, it's great that you encourage us and help us to build soft skills, but I wish functional people like you would also build more tech skills. And I took that to heart, which is why I've embarked on this journey. And I'm doing courses in AI and prompt engineering and data science. And now I would like to offer you a teaching moment, if I may. So I created this infographic on the right-hand side to help people understand that GenAI is only a tiny part of automation, which encompasses many, many technologies. And you should really kind of look at my article on automation jargon, and you should at least know the jargon and the value that each technology brings. So what I did is I used the body analogy to give each technology a role. So robotic process automation is the hands, optical character recognition, the eyes, and so on. So about 6-7 years ago, RPA, so robotic process automation, was the bread and butter of automation. It took boring, repetitive tasks like data entry from invoices and sped up the processing time. And what it did is it improved customer satisfaction because people were getting responses faster, they were getting paid faster, their invoices were processed faster. Then it came optical character recognition. And what it did is it extracted information from scanned documents, from images, from invoices, safety labels, handwritten documents, and it digitized them in a way that data could be fed into SAP systems or ERP systems. And then process and task mining came along, which is a bit like an MRI machine. It helps identify bottlenecks and inefficiencies in workflows and tasks. Then chatbots came along, and some were smart, some were a bit stupid, some were a bit frustrating. And I'm sure all of us, when we talk to a company and we come across a chatbot, we recognize that not all of them are kind of clever. And recently we've seen the rise of GenAI. Now, AI and machine learning has been, going on for quite some time, and I think of it as the brain. But imagine that you cannot have a fully functioning digital workforce of thousands of bots without arms and legs, eyes, and brain. There's like a whole automation ecosystem which needs to work in harmony to deliver business value. It's like an orchestra where each of these technologies is an instrument. And to accomplish your goal, you select the right instrument. And maybe sometimes you need 2 and 3, and maybe sometimes you need all of them to work together. And once you understand this, and you realize that I liked GenAI to the soul of the digital worker, you understand this, GenAI becomes so much less scary, and it gives you perspective. And then you can start to think, so this is where I think I can contribute value. Or this is, I think, the technology that might help me help my boss or help my team solve the value. So yeah, please take a look at the automation jargon post that I did. It explains everything in detail, and it gives examples for how each of these technologies are being used. And also, go to some events. So if you wanted to read about my experience of Blue Prism, and also in November, I'm going to Simply Expo to talk about the impact of AI on our industry. So the other thing is collaborate and network in automation. So my network is very much in comms and change, but I very much put quite a bit of effort to develop my network and expand my network with automation experts. So my advice is seek out the team delivering automations in your company. Reach out to them. If they have a website, go to their website, find out what they do, what tools they use. Think of a use case to bring them and work together to alleviate pain for your boss, your team, and your company. And get involved. So I've worked on 3 automations as a stretch assignment, and I have learned so much. One, we built a Viva Engage bot that collated data. The second one was a 2x2 app. And then the third one was about distribution list updating bot, because it's a very, very cumbersome and time-consuming activity. So I gained so much respect for developers. I learned how they think, the barriers they face, and I can say that having both tech and functional brains on a project results in a much, much better product at the end. So if you are in comms, think about, I don't know, a task in your comms planning or data collection for reporting, which we know we have to do, and it's very, very time consuming. If you are in change management, can you automate business assessments, for example? Well, why not? In GSK, we had these massive spreadsheets with lots of questions and calculations. But think about automation. You could use a chatbot to engage people the problem. You could use robotic to gather that data, calculate it, feed it into, let's say, a visualization tool like Power BI. You can get Power Desktop Automate to create a workflow to pick up these data and visualizations and email the results, let's say, I don't know, every day or every week to the senior execs. And by freeing yourself from these kind of mundane and repetitive activities, you have time to spend on thinking, well, what are the insights that are coming from the business readiness assessment? And how can I adapt my strategy? And what are the other tactics that I can use? And so instead of spending time on repetitive stuff that is boring and can be done by automation, you can add value in a much, much different way. And the best advice I can give is, if you want to do this, set a budget and time aside. And the reason I say set a budget is because I face this. So every single tool I looked at, every AI tool has a paid subscription if you want more than the basic features. Don't be fooled by trying this and trying that. Obviously, people want to make money out of these things. So and set time aside, because it is time consuming. It does take time. But start slow. All you have to do is download ChatGPT or Claude. I prefer Claude. I don't know. I just find it like it's a bit more warm, has a bit more warmth to it. It feels a bit more human when I engage with Claude. But anyway, you can choose for yourself. So download them on your mobile phone. Download the app and just start playing with it. You can ask anything crosses your mind. Build me a plan to lose 5 kilograms, or I want to go to Spain, build me an itinerary for 1 week of visiting these things. Or how can I save time at work? One of the things that takes me the most time is this. Or, how can I work smarter so I can go home on time or go home earlier? Maybe do a 30-minute course on LinkedIn. I joined Coursera. It was only £190 with discount for a year. And I have access to, thousands of courses. So I'm just taking my time and doing that. And little by little, start sharing your experiences. And like I said, either you can subscribe to my letter or just keep reading and practicing and talking about it. I would love it if you share them with me too, so I learn as well. yeah, you can network with people outside of your industry and keep learning. And one last tip, I use TikTok. I don't like TikTok. I actually hate TikTok, but I use it only for automation stuff. So I search on AI or automation. And what I like about it, I don't connect with anybody. I don't like anybody else's stuff. I don't want to have friends. I just use it simply for my research. And what it does, it gives me bite-sized information. So literally 30 seconds, 1 minute video. And if I see something that I like or I'm interested in, then I go and do my own research. But at least it gives me an idea of what the trends are, what people are talking about, what else is new. And some of the things are silly and some of them are, not silly. So yeah, I wasn't a big TikTok user before, but now I just use it specifically for my research. And it's only a conversation about this, but, don't have TV new skills, engineering and using AI. If I was the hiring manager, I'm someone who takes on new technologies and works smarter. And honestly, if they do not appreciate that, well, I wouldn't want to work for them. And yeah, I mentioned this because there was a discussion on LinkedIn or when a gentleman said that he's using GenAI and he saves about 30 to 40% of his time to be more productive and to be more strategic. And I really love that. So yeah, I think prompt execution will become a new type of art form for communicators. And, it's time we get the grips with it because it's going to take some time. So, people on the call, this is my GTKY slide at Shell, and I only put it there because I'm just fond of it to look at it. But thank you. And yeah, don't be a stranger. Please connect with me. Join me in my journey of discovery. Share with me whether you found this useful or whatever else you're learning so we can learn together. And let's embrace automation together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dana. I hope everyone has found this useful and really insightful. I think the first thing that you said, comms professionals are more than what their title suggests. I think that is so true. Whether you're a listener, a translator, a designer, a planner, or an analyst, there's so much more involved for comms. And it's great to take away, have those 3 takeaways as well, how people can really embrace AI. So I know the connection hasn't been fantastic. So if anyone does have anything you want Dana to repeat or anything specifically, please put them in the Q&A box. We have a few questions coming through already, so let me get started with that. Sarah asks, how many of these tools are free, or do you have to buy into subscriptions to use them properly? I can play around with ChatGPT and Copilot, but I haven't invested in subscriptions yet.
And Sarah, that's a good question. And that's what I said, set up a budget. I am the same. I am refusing to spend money at the moment. So I am playing with the free versions. But I am hearing from other people that Copilot Pro, for example, it's really money. So at the moment, I'm just trying the free versions. And I think I've been playing a lot with ChatGPT and Claude. I will probably move to Claude and buy the paid subscription. But at the moment and at the beginning, I think it's fine if you just play with the free versions. But yes, for all advanced features, if you wanted to build sophisticated stuff, you have to pay. And it's not little, and it adds up.
Okay, so it's about budgeting. I'm sure that's something that comms professionals are also very, very good at. So use that. It's part of your skills. The second question from Catherine. You mentioned that Claude was your personal favorite for exploring. Apart from warmth, what else makes you choose one tool above another? It's very personal choice, or is it more genuinely better?
I think what I found with ChatGPT is, and sorry to say, but it just feels answers. It's just really average. I mean, I don't see, it's almost like Googling, right? But I feel like when I have a conversation, and maybe it's also because I started with ChatGPT, and then my prompt engineering got better. So I did a couple courses on prompt engineering, and I now understand better. I have to explain the role um, he's playing, the context, the tone of voice. Uh, so I have to kind of provide these additional pieces of information. And I just noticed that Claude just it has a bit more depth to it. It might be just a personal preference, or maybe, like I said, my prompt engineering has got better. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I respect more its data and research and the knowledge, I think, than ChatGPT. But it might just be a personal thing. You have to try it for yourself. And
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next question from Liliana. How can AI help in measuring and improving the effectiveness of internal comms? And what are some best practices for integrating these AI tools without compromising data privacy and security?
that's a lot of question, Lily. So if I go back to the automation that I helped build with my team, the Viva Engage. So what we did is we realized that comms people spend quite a lot of time on spreadsheets. For every single Viva Engage post, they had to put it into their spreadsheet, the name of the post, the link, the number of views, comments, whether it was shared, and then generate an engagement score, calculating all of this. And they were doing this for every single post, especially community managers, comms people. I mean, if you add it up, it was probably 30 minutes a day for hundreds and hundreds of people. So what we did is we created this automation that actually trailed through Viva Engage, collected all this data, did the calculation, and basically sent you a spreadsheet. So you can just say, send me the spreadsheet with the last 100 posts, or all of my posts, or yesterday's posts. And so all of a sudden, hundreds and hundreds of people didn't have to do this. And what did freed up the time for them to focus not on just collating the data and copying and pasting the numbers, but actually looking at the insights and trying to analyze, why has this post worked better? Why is this post not performing? Am I using hashtags? Am I using labels? What's happening there? How can I adapt my communication strategy? And so, this is an example where you can definitely use automation in the reporting and free yourself time to figure out, am I driving the right outcomes, rather than spending the time every day, collecting the data. But I think in terms of the privacy, I'll just give you an example. For example, in Shell, you cannot use ChatGPT. They are building their own large language model. And I think it is because of data privacy. And there is a huge risk with GenAI that people will, let's say, copy and paste contracts into ChatGPT, and give really sensitive information being available there on the internet. So there are huge implications. I think the reason companies are quite cautious in implementing AI and embedding it in their business processes is because, one, is costly, very costly. These large language models cost huge amounts of money, and they perhaps don't need such a big solution for a small problem that they face. Develop their own in-house. But of course, technology is moving so fast and they don't have the in-house capability to do that. And so, yeah, they kind of, I've heard, actually, I was reading just today that one company is using AI to teach developers to develop AI.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. I think, yeah, it is about investing time to learn about it and, and mess around to see which one works well for you. And it might be, one AI tool is better than the other. But, we're at that kind of early phase at the moment where I think we need to just invest the time into, to find out and to learn about it and how to embrace it. Next question from Frank. Thank you, Dana. AI is overwhelming, 100%. If you were to give one tip to a comms person to focus on, what would it be? The ultimate tip.
I think is the brainstorming aspect of it. I find it really, really useful. And contractors were often expected to hit. We don't really work in big teams, and sometimes just having a soundboard for your ideas, and just being able to ask a question, get some answers back that makes you think, I think that is pretty valuable. We don't always are able to work with other people, or just and it's just so fast. It's literally like lightning. And then it makes you realize that, oh, you haven't taken into account this other factor. So one of the questions I ask is, once I have AI on a particular topic, I might say, well, what else haven't I considered? And that is AI as a coach. That is a typical coach, executive coaching question, right? What else have I not considered? And it just gives you a perspective. And even if that perspective is not something that you decide to take, like I said, I take maybe 20-30% of what it gives me, but it just really things through. And just I've noticed that I'm becoming much more strategic. And yeah, I just think things through with AI because it's so fast, and I think that's where it gives me value. Thanks, Frank.
Okay, I'm just conscious of time, so let's have one more question. The last one is from Sarah. Is there a particular tool you recommend for meeting minutes and actions? Is it built into Teams?
So I haven't used that, but my friend, if you read the article with Pavel Loss, from Czech Republic, he is using Copilot Pro for his company. And he told me that what he does is using Teams to record. Teams takes the notes, the recording. He puts that into Copilot. And even in Czech, he told me that he, basically asks it to summarize, to pick up the actions. And he said it's not 75-80% there, but he said for him and his team is good enough, and he saves huge amounts of time. And I'll tell you one more other thing that I did. So I'm also coaching someone, and I take lots of notes because I just want to just remember things. And sometimes my notes might be a bit scatty. I put them into Claude and I asked it to just summarizes them and put them in some sort of logical structure. Again, in seconds, it did that, and it was good enough. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough for what I needed, and it just saved me huge amounts of time. So it's a very good productivity kind of hack to use AI and save you time.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, look, thank you, Dana. I think it's been really insightful, and I hope, you can take away these, the top 3 tips and start your own journey of embracing AI. Thanks to everyone for joining. If you have any questions following this, then please feel free to reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to help. And of course, you can reach out to Dana as well. And for those of you who are thinking of your next career move or have plans to build your team, if you need support in that way, then please, get in touch with me as well. Thank you again. I hope you all have a good rest of the day and see you at the next webinar.
Just one thing. So I'm going to post the presentation and the slides on LinkedIn just now. So if you want to take a look at it, the slides are yours. You can just take a look at it. Just look at my profile. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you making the time. Thank you, Deb.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you. And
Bye,
VMA.
everyone.
Thanks very much, everyone. Bye.